Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of the Power of Your Mind podcast. You're listening to episode number 234. We're talking about gratitude and manifestation. I'm hypnotist Jim Kellner, co hosting once again for the incredible Victoria Gallagher. She's the law of attraction hypnotist. She's the #1 best-selling author of The Practical Law of Attraction. Align yourself with the manifesting conditions and successfully attract your desires. She's also the founder of HipTalk.com and HypnoCloud apps, which gives you access to over 500 hypnosis recordings right in the palm of your hand. So be sure to download that app from the app stores. And with that, please welcome everyone, Victoria Gallagher.
Woo!
Yay.
Let's welcome Victoria Gallagher. Hello, Jim. Good to see you. How are you?
Good. I just hope, if everybody out in listening land and watching land, whenever I introduce Victoria, if you could just right there where you're at, just clap and cheer, that'd be great.
We can
Love
feel
that.
it. We can feel it all the way over
Yeah, we
here.
can feel it. That's right.
Yeah.
I'm doing great. I'm in Arizona, so it's nice and warm. I'm finding if I don't get out for my morning walk before 9 a.m., it's just too hot to do it.
Yeah, I'm pretty used to the heat here, so I'm a little crazy. I'll even be out at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock when it's over
Wow.
100 degrees out, climbing up a mountain,
Yeah.
saying my gratitudes. Actually, you came up, speaking of gratitude, I was writing down. So I've been kind of in the habit. My husband got me this book from The Secret a while back. It's a little journal on gratitude. And on the left side, or, I really have a hard time with my right and left. But probably shouldn't have said that out loud. On the left side of this, you actually talk about what you're already grateful for. And on the right side of it, you talk about what you're grateful for that's on the way to manifesting. So I really try to not duplicate what I'm grateful for. And so every day I think of new things. And so on the left side, I did actually mention that I'm grateful to have such an amazing co-host for the Power of Your Mind
Oh,
podcast. So it's,
thank you so much.
yeah, I just wanted to share that with you.
Well, I have to tell you, I was bragging a little bit about the show when I was out at the Michigan conference and talking about how glad I was that I was co-hosting for you, and that we'd gotten 40,000 downloads.
Yeah, I know. I'm so great. You know what? That's just another thing that I'm super grateful for. So I'm very grateful for this audience. Keep downloading and keep reviewing and keep listening and keep spreading the message and sharing with others.
Yeah, it's kind of mind blowing when you think about how many people are doing it. I got to wonder, as we're thinking about gratitude and manifestation, I'm going to guess that gratitude does play a part in manifestation based on what we've talked about before. And can you tell us how that fits in? Gratitude and
Absolutely.
manifestation?
Yeah, absolutely. So they really do go hand in hand. As a matter of fact, in my book, Practical Law of Attraction, one of the 8 manifesting conditions is called manifestation. But
Hmm.
so much of that condition actually has to do with the power of gratitude, it has to do with acknowledging the things that you've manifested, because we actually manifest things all the time, but they just go
Yeah.
unnoticed and unacknowledged. So there's so much power in just noticing what you've already created, and it just actually makes you feel so good. I was just in Jack Canfield's Breakthrough to Success weekend over the last weekend, and one of the exercises that we did was we literally got up from, it was like all on Zoom and everything. So we got up for a little while, left our microphones on, left our cameras on, and walked away and walked through the house and literally looked at all of the things. And I had a hard time leaving this room because
Oh, wow. Yeah.
just in this room, there's so many things to be grateful for. I mean, if I really did a thorough be grateful for everything, I mean, it would take all day, if not more, because there's just so many things to be grateful for. And so the key is why it works so well with manifestation is that it is a powerful emotion, and it has it can make us happier. It's about being present and appreciating what you already have. And so when you're present, when you're happier, when you're feeling good, you open yourself up to receive even more abundance, because it has a tendency to raise your vibration. And that is the key to manifestation is, when you're in a high vibe, you're going to manifest more things that are on that frequency. When you're in a low vibe, you're going to manifest things that are in that low vibe. So just being grateful just changes your whole vibration.
Makes a lot of sense. And, it kind of makes me think of, if we think of the universe as like a parent, we're like the child. Nobody wants an ungrateful child, right? You buy them an ice cream cone and they throw it on the ground. That's not the kind I wanted.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the universe isn't going to just keep giving you things. If you're complaining all the time and, oh, that's not enough, and feeling like,
Right.
you're living in a feeling of lack and scarcity. And so I really feel like gratitude and abundance really kind of also work very hand in hand, because when you're in a state of gratitude, you're actually thinking about what you do have, whether it's health, wealth, or relationships. It's all about being in what it is that I do have rather than what I don't have.
And I was really noticing, like, when you talked about, like, couldn't even leave your room because there was a time before you had that microphone, right? That you wanted that microphone. There was a time when you wanted, and I was thinking, I was talking with somebody one time, and they're complaining about their job. Which, hey, look, I've been there. I complain about my job now, and I was thinking, like, there was a time, right? There was a time when that person was really grateful to have that job when they really wanted that job, whether whatever reason it was. Maybe they just needed money, or they just really wanted. And we kind of go through life like that. There's a time, even if it's a crummy job, oftentimes we're just so glad we got it because we can pay our bills or something. And then we get kind of used to it, and then we're ungrateful.
Absolutely. Yeah, we have to continue to so I had a little bit of a realization the other morning, because it's like, I just the whole thing about like washing my hair and blow drying it, and and that whole thing. It's like, well, why am I in such a rush? Well, I'm in such a rush because I want to get to, work. I want to, work on my projects and stuff. Well, why do I want to work on these projects? Well, because obviously it's helping people change their lives, but it's also these projects, obviously, they translate into me having the things that I have, the abundance that I have.
Right.
So if I'm like just in such a rush all the time, like, oh, for example, I mean, just taking the shower. Like, there was a time when we were in a house that this shower kind of sucked. I mean, you can barely, like, it was just so small. We were in this nice house, but for some reason they just designed it with this tiny, tiny little shower. And you barely I couldn't like pick my whole leg up and shave my leg in the shower. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'd have to
Yeah.
like bend down, and so here I am. I'm in this gorgeous house with this really nice big shower with, I mean, the way that the shower head is, it's like this magnetic thing, and there's plenty of space in this shower. Feels good and all of that. I'm like, so yeah, I wanted the shower, but why? Just so I could like rush through it. And so I just had this moment,
Yeah.
this like little epiphany where I'm like, I'm gonna like enjoy that. I'm gonna feel the water, the warmth of the water, the texture of the water. I'm gonna, as I'm washing my hair, I'm just gonna like be so grateful for my light, my beautiful long
Having hair. Yeah.
hair, having hair, and just, for this I love my shampoo. My shampoo just smells so good. And I've like literally, it's the shampoo. We keep the shampoo in our guest bathroom. So when guests come, I was like, use this shampoo. It is like it's the best.
It's the best.
It is the best. It's like this almost like lavendery kind of smell, and then the conditioner is like this kind of minty, mentholy kind of effect on and feeling on your
Ooh.
scalp, and it just feels so good. And so I just took my time to like really be grateful and present, because again, gratitude is also a little bit synonymous with just being present to the experience that you're in right this very minute. Because anytime you're feeling ungrateful, think about it, you're like ungrateful because you're thinking about something that you don't have yet, or something that, maybe from the feelings from the past. So when you're thinking about gratitude, it just puts you in, such a great present moment. And so anyway, that was just kind of a interesting experience I had.
Yeah. So what's the difference between gratitude and manifestation?
So gratitude is, it's how you feel. It's your attitude. It's about, that thankfulness. It's about that acknowledging the good that has happened to us, or that we are surrounded by. And manifestation is actually the process of bringing something that you don't currently have into your reality. And so manifestation, is ultimately it's just bringing something into reality. And then where gratitude is being appreciative for what you have already brought into your
Hmm.
reality. Or it
Gotcha.
also can be, you can be grateful for what you are currently bringing into your reality, because that's just another way to express your gratitude. If you're bringing something in, like I know that this app is going to be part of my reality, and so I'm, grateful for I'm grateful for the 10 million users that
Right.
will soon be using my app.
Exactly.
And things like that.
And then you're manifesting that 10 million.
And you're manifesting it at the same time. You're manifesting it, through many different mechanisms, but through the power of gratitude is just another, it's a very powerful way to get yourself aligned with having that. If you can't fake it. Like so many times,
Hmm.
people will say like, "Oh, I'm so grateful for this microphone." It's like, like you're not really grateful. You're just saying you're grateful. And there's a
Hmm.
difference between saying you're grateful and being grateful. There's a huge difference, and it's the difference really has to do with how you're feeling while you're saying it. Like, are you, because gratitude is a state. It's not just it, it's something you do, it's something you are, it's something that you be, it's something that you feel. It's not just like words.
You know, um, I'm glad you mentioned that because I remember, when I would try to imagine things and visualize things, what I want, those kind of things. It really was not a feeling type thing. And then I heard Anthony Robbins talk about it one time, and he's like, "You got to feel that. What's it feel like when you're there?" And when I do it with clients, I would do that, but not for myself for some reason. And it made a huge difference. I mean, if nothing else, you get that great feeling um, when you do it. So I think we've mentioned it before. I can imagine myself driving along the freeway and looking out at this place, and I can get the feeling of being there. And then I wonder, do I even need that experience? Because I've already got the feeling. Uh,
Yeah, absolutely. And I was going to say something about that, but the thought completely passed me by. Oh
so,
yeah, yeah, the feeling. So yeah, it's, everything that we do, like all these techniques that we do are ultimately to get us into that feeling state. Because I really believe, like, the thoughts ultimately lead to the feelings. Like the desire That's what you're thinking about. And the thoughts, the visualization leads you to the feeling. And the feeling, like feeling that it's real, is what changes the belief. And
Mm,
the belief, it kind of like it's like two-way. The belief actually helps you to feel it even more. So they kind of work together. And when you believe and you feel, you are going to take different actions.
mm,
And I think most of the time, because like a lot of times people take these forced actions or do things that they think that they have to do. And, or, when you're feeling and believing also, you're going to be receiving, you're going to be open, you're going to be an open channel to receiving more guidance from God, the universe, whatever. And, taking the right actions.
yeah. So, if somebody's out there, I've been through, many of us have probably gone through this, maybe even the way we were when we were growing up, or maybe, we go through periods of this where it just seems like everything sucks and we're just complaining about everything and
Yeah.
gratitude. But you think it's important though that people, get that gratitude. Get that feeling of gratitude for manifestation. You think it's that
Oh,
important?
it's so important. And I mean it's and it takes practice every single day. I have to practice with this gratitude. I mean, we know today's Thursday and today is my developer meeting. And I was kind of just coming down on them again about what they hadn't done. And this is actually a really good check-in with myself, because I'm always in a state of kind of complaining about what hasn't happened yet and how long this
Yeah,
is
yeah,
taking and blah, blah, blah. And, I honestly, I mean, if I, there's so many things about that are wrong and that are, uh, probably blocking the process of this for myself, and it's like, just because I teach this, I want people to understand, doesn't mean that I don't go through my own struggles. Like, I just know the difference. I'm aware. Like, and sometimes being aware can actually make this even a little bit more painful, because it's like, damn it, like I know that I need to figure out how to change this. And and so obviously I think so like, if you're in a relationship with somebody, whether it's a business relationship or your spouse or whatever, you got to pay attention to what are you putting out there. And so when it comes to gratitude, it's so important because it helps you to shift what you're focused on. Are you focused on the lack and what's going wrong and the bad stuff and the negative stuff? Or are you focused for what's going right and the abundance and, and all of that? And so it just helps you to, like, when you think about what, like, when I look at my app, like yesterday I actually had a, like, sort of a outside unbiased third party like take a look at what was going on and all of this, because I was having some concerns, like, and he kind of confirmed for me that this is pretty typical. Like, everything that I'm experiencing right now is pretty typical. When I showed him my app and I went through and I showed him, he's like, "Oh my God." He's like, "First of all, like, you're getting this for a pretty good deal of what, based on what
Mhm.
you're paying." And so that kind of made me, feel a little grateful. It's like, "Oh, well, maybe
Yeah,
things aren't so bad." And and so our self-talk can really just create so much darkness or so much lightness around a situation. And sometimes, like, even just having like an outside perspective is helpful. But it just, when you feel grateful, you just, you tend to, like, release those needy feelings, those scarce feelings, because all of those feelings are ultimately blocking your manifestation. And it also, in a way, to me, it's gratitude is like kind of connecting you to, like, my response. That it's my response ability to whatever is happening. And how, do I want to respond with gratitude, or do I want to respond with just being unappreciative for whatever is happening? Because whatever is happening is whatever is happening, right? And whether you created it or you want to own that you created it or not, whatever is happening is whatever is happening. That's the event. And
Yeah.
we all get to choose how we respond to it. And gratitude is the way. It really is the way.
Nice. I've caught myself a couple of times since we talked last week or the week before about the you know what we're projecting onto the app developers and kind of a thing, and keeping a good positive attitude about it. And it's helped a bit. I caught myself and I said, nope, let's not go down that road. There's no reason. Let's give them the benefit of the doubt and look at the good stuff. And at least I felt better about it.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's not like, you're not just lying to yourself. You're not staying in la la land. You definitely want to, be real about what's actually going on, but find the positive things in that situation. If even in a negative situation, find that silver lining. What is working? You can, look at what's not working objectively, but it's like whatever you're feeling that's strongest, that's the vibe that you're sending out there.
Yeah.
And when I say out there, whether we're talking about the universe, God, infinite intelligence, or just the people that you're actually dealing with and working with, if I'm sending this vibe, like all she ever talks about is like it's just this
Right.
one, it's like, are they really gonna wanna do their best for me? Are they really gonna, be inspired to work harder? And, are they just gonna be just trying to like blow through it and get through it? It's like, how are we gonna deal with this crazy lady?
Every Thursday. Oh no, it's
And
Victoria Day.
Monday.
And Monday.
But so obviously I'm painting myself in kind of a negative light here. I'm not that bad. I just have a tendency, to like point things out that are wrong more than I point things out that are that are right. And I just need to, I need to I mean, when people see this app, it's just going to be so amazing. And I just need to keep thinking about that, and keep
Right.
thinking about like how grateful I am that, there are people out there that know how to do this, that,
Yeah.
and that they're still willing to put up with my, self.
Right.
Gonna say another word, but I'm not that kind of host.
Victoria, what if I'm doing the gratitude wrong? Is it possible to do the gratitude wrong, to go into the gratitude in a way that's not helpful, I guess?
Well, I don't think you can really mess up gratitude. I mean, I think the only thing you can do really is you can fake it, and
Mm.
pretend to feel gratitude. But even if you pretend to feel gratitude, like they always say, fake it till you make it. I think
Mhm.
eventually it will sink in that, and convert into a real feeling, a real emotion. So if
Mhm.
you like don't actually, so I think though, it's just um I think the thing that I want people to understand is it's not about necessarily gratitude isn't just about being grateful for like what you have. It's really just about this state of being. And, it's not always easy to practice, as we've talked about. And so, how you can know that you are practicing gratitude though, like, just some rules to think about are, am I focusing about on things that I want, or am I focusing more on things that I don't want? So that's one test that you could ask yourself. Am I spending more time? So am I living in a state of gratitude? You can, ask yourself that question. Am I focusing more of my attention on what I want, or on what I don't want? And that's just one area you can correct yourself. You can also notice, are you seeing more good in things or are you seeing more bad in things? Because there's always going to be the event. And, whatever the event is, like I said, we get to choose how we feel in that event. We get to choose how we see that event. And we get to choose how long we choose to stay in a bad state or a negative state. And another way that you can determine whether you are coming from a place of gratitude is just your general level of happiness when you're um, going throughout your day. Like how do I feel as I'm going through my day? Am I feeling like kind of a low vibe? Am I feeling like neutral, or am I feeling passionate? Am I feeling excited? Am I feeling happy? And when you're around other people, like how do you relate to those other people? Are you judging them? Are you expecting them to be a certain way, or are you just appreciating them for who they are, how they are right now in this very moment? Those are just a couple of ways that you can kind of determine if you're living in a state of gratitude.
So, I mean, you've just talked about, that you're, um, I don't know how to say it exactly, but how do you're in the midst of a situation, the app where you're not real happy with the way it's going currently. Um, so how do you switch that around? I mean, it's not like a light switch, right? How do you end up being grateful for something that you just are not all that happy about?
That's probably like that's the toughest thing for, and I think that's where the growth is for all of us. Because I think manifestation, I've always felt like law of attraction and manifestation is synonymous with personal growth. You have what you want because of how you be. Like it's not about it's not about like attracting something outside of you. It's like you becoming. And so you have to become grateful. You have to become happy. And so it's really difficult for people when they're seeing all the bad stuff, to just go down that road and say, oh yeah, everything sucks. This development is, and so how you switch that around is, again, it's just like about like turning your attention to what is right about this situation. So like, I know everybody's heard about my app, but they're all going to run out. They're all going to run out to the app store when I say go, right?
Right,
um
exactly.
and they're going to understand what went into this, because I don't think anybody knows. Um, but for me to say shift my experience with that and feel grateful. Well, one, I think before you can even feel grateful, you have to be in a pure acceptance of this moment. I think so much of what blocks our ability to feel grateful is denying what is in this moment
Mm,
and rejecting what is in this moment. And so I have to be able to embrace that even though things are not perfect, that things are coming together. I mean, I can play content through this app. I can, do I can upload content to the admin panel. Like so
yeah.
what's cool? I mean, I wasn't able to do that before. That's really cool. Like in my current HypnoCloud app, if I wanted to add new content into that app, I literally had
Mhm.
to make a list of all of the content. I had to get the put the content on my S3 server, and I had to give them a link to where it is, and I had to tell them program this into the app. And I could, and I was my I we and then we had to submit a new build to the App Store in order to get that app to show up in the we had to submit a new build every time I wanted to upload content. No more. Like now, I'm just so grateful that like if I at 8 o'clock in the morning say I want to put some 5-minute affirmations, somebody like sends me an email and says, "Hey, Victoria, I really love your app. Can you make a session around this?" And if I find that like it's aligned with my headspace in that moment, and it's easy enough for me to write a script around that, and I can just come into the studio, I can write a script, and I can create that program, and I can put it into an MP3, and I can literally upload it, find a Pixabay image, and I can
Yeah.
upload it, put the description and the title, and boom, it's done. I've got it in the app. That like refresh your screen, and there it is. It's done. I don't, and it's like
Mhm.
that's the way it should have worked all along. But like I'm so grateful for that.
Can you see that she's feeling the gratitude right there? Can you all see that and hear that in her voice? She's feeling that gratitude right now.
Yeah,
It's,
and so
as
instead
it's
of
becoming
focusing,
manifest.
yes, exactly, exactly. I'm like, I'm feeling that. And my user is going to be able to make their own playlists, and there's meditation timer, and there's, you can make endless reminders of, meditate in the morning, meditate in the evening. There's just like on and on. My courses are going to be in there, script books,
Mm,
all kinds of stuff. And, this is an amazing freaking app. And I just cannot wait to get it into tens of millions of hands across the globe. And,
yeah.
it's just really, I can just look at all that funky stuff and say, yeah, I just need to be more patient. I just need to it's going to happen when it's going to get done right. It's going to get done y- not on time, but it's going to get done when it gets done. And you know what? And there's no such thing necessarily as on time, because maybe there's a reason why maybe there was something I needed to grow through. Maybe I needed to learn the next layer, the next level of gratitude. Maybe there was just a reason in the app stores, or there's a reason in the universe why the app couldn't launch in July when it was originally supposed
Hmm.
to launch.
Yeah.
And maybe I didn't meet the right people. Maybe I would have gotten with the wrong marketing team to market this thing. Like I literally yesterday had this conversation with this marketing guy, and he was giving me all kinds of great ideas. It's like, oh, if I had already launched the app, wouldn't have met him. And so
Yeah.
maybe there's something about like some other piece of the puzzle hasn't quite come into place yet. And, and every single negative situation has always turned out, it's always resulted in a far better situation than I could have possibly imagined at that time. And so be grateful for the fact that things are not coming together the way that you expect them to, because there's most likely a perfectly good reason for that.
It's the way you talk about it, it kind of reminds me of um, what do they call it? Positive reinforcement with kids. You try to catch them doing just one little thing right, and you praise them. And so it's like, the universe does this one little thing for you. You think it's one little thing, that tasty cup of coffee, and you praise the universe. Thank you so much, and hopefully then that starts getting more repeated, right?
It's so true. And, like I literally even kind of had this thought the other day. It's like, I mean, we're all kind of animals, right? We're all sort of
Yeah.
at the base level. And so it's like people aren't even necessarily, the people are not necessarily acting from their conscious awareness at all times. There's all the stuff that's going on, below the scenes. So if, like these guys are constantly getting negative reinforcement, guess what? They're gonna
Yeah.
that is just feedback, and they're just going to give
Exactly.
me back. And so I have to remember that, and I have to train them, and just like when you said the kids, I mean, when you train animals, when you train dogs, when you train cats, you don't train them through whipping them or hitting them or yelling at them or scaring them in some way, making them have a bad experience. That doesn't train them. That doesn't get the positive thing. You train them through giving them treats, through giving them praise, through giving them positive reinforcement, the good things. And so you have to almost kind of think of it at the base level of like, where you train people to treat you how they're treating you. And
Yeah.
so you can train them, through negative reinforcement, and the negative's only just going to attract more negative, or you can train them through positive reinforcement, through praise, through gratitude. Say, it's like when you're living with your significant other. You tell them like, you never do this, you never do that, you never do that, and it's like, if you train them that way, you're just basically just telling them like, well, I guess I'm a bad husband. And so I guess I'm just a bad husband. So I'm going to start acting bad. It's not a conscious
Right.
decision, but it's
Yeah.
it's just, after a while, you just start feeling like you're bad. But when you change your perspective and you say, oh my God, I just love how thoughtful you are all the time. You're so kind, so generous, you're good looking, find things about your spouse that you just absolutely love and adore. And guess what? You're going to get that reflected right back to you.
Yeah. People tend to want to live into labels too. So whether it's a good one or a bad one, if you tell someone they're a good employee, they're gonna, tend to live
Yeah,
into that, or a bad one.
absolutely. Yes. Yeah. So, give praise to the people who work for you, your employees. Give praise even to your boss, if you're on the other side of the coin and you are an employee and you have a boss. Well, it's like, you never give me a raise, you never point out anything good I do, you never, all of that stuff. Well, that's just going to kind of, again, it's just going to repeat itself. And so what do you want? And and can you identify where you're getting that? And so give praise and gratitude for where that is showing up, what is good. And you're just going to get more positive reinforcement, whether it's like ethereally or practically. I think it kind of works both ways. I'm starting to, I wrote Practical Law of Attraction. So
That's right.
everything with me is all about the practical side. But I will say I am starting to dive in and dig in and learn a little bit more about the spiritual side of things.
Hmm.
And I feel like that's been a little bit of a missing link, because I do kind of broach it a little bit, but I want to dive in a lot deeper. And I feel like I'm just kind of on a path now, like an evolution of Victoria 2.0.
Awesome. So we'll expect another book, The Impractical Law of Attraction.
For sure. Maybe not impractical, but something along, definitely there will be a next, a next level, like a more advanced version. I think that the version that I have right now, the practical, is very basic, and very easy to apply. But I do feel like there's an advanced level, and it kind of has to do a little bit more with the ethereal and the metaphysical and the spiritual realm, that, like I'm going through that process in my own life. And I just feel like, it'll come when it comes.
Yeah. Well, I'm wondering, um, as people are out there and maybe they're not practicing gratitude, or maybe they don't have a formal practice, or maybe and they'd like to get better about gratitude. What are some great ways to start practicing gratitude?
I am just a big advocate of writing things down. Like, I think number
Hmm.
one is just like keeping a list and writing down like everything that you're grateful for. And you know what you're going to find, whether like, sometimes people will actually, I have nothing to be grateful for. I mean, there are actually people that that
Mm.
might start off by and if you're one of those people that has ever thought, I've got nothing to be grateful for, I mean, just start with the some things that are obvious that you do have right now. If you have the ability to say that, you have air in your lungs,
Right.
okay, and you have a brain in your head and you have a heart that beats. Like those are like the most bare essential things that you even have to be able to make and articulate that statement. Well, everyone has that. Well, and then maybe you can just kind of go a little deeper. It's like, is there something about yourself that you love? Is there something about your personality? Is there something about your eye color, your hair color, your skin color, your nose, your teeth, whatever it is, like start with yourself, just being grateful for your own body. And then, get into like the whole universe that's out there to support you. I mean, have you ever even can stop for a minute and consider how perfect this planet works? Like, if the
Mhm.
sun was any further away or any closer, like we couldn't even exist here on Earth. And the same with the moon. I mean, the moon creates the balance and the ocean waves and the you know has something to do with the air. I mean, I don't quite know how it
Right.
works. All I know is like it's so
That's something. Yeah.
magical.
Right.
Like it is so all of this stuff is like so magical. And if you really think about like that you get to live here, that you
Yeah.
were one of like a billion sperm or whatever that like made it.
Right.
You made it. Like you're
Exactly.
already a winner. You're
Yeah.
already so amazing. You've already beat so many people, or things that didn't, I mean, you're
A bunch of
here.
you feed a lot of sperm. Yeah. You
You're
feed a lot
here.
of other. Right.
You're
And all those
here.
eggs that were there the month before, the month before the egg, and I mean all that. So yeah.
Oh, it is a miracle that you are even here. So be grateful just for that. And the people that you have in your life, and your mother and your father and your friends, and the wherever you're sitting and having that conversation, the air, the birds, the beauty, the trees. Like there's just so much to be grateful for. And you can express that to people. And when you express it to people, it actually kicks up your own level of happiness and gratitude. When you tell somebody, you look them in the eye, or you write them a letter, or you call them and you say, I am just, I'm so grateful for you. I mean, there's just something there's like there that happens when you say within yourself that makes you feel good. But it also, of course, you get that thank you back, or you get that feeling, you get that connection back, and that just, makes you feel good. You can get in the habit of just saying thank you all the time, whether it's verbally or non-verbally. Like literally, you can do the exercise I did over the weekend and go around the house or your apartment or whatever space that you're living in, wherever you are. You can just thank you for that pillow. Thank you for the bed. Thank you for the floor. Thank you for the carpet. Thank you for this coffee mug. Thank you for the coffee. Thank you for the water. Thank you for this a cell phone. Thank you for this mouse and the keyboard and the computer and the microphone and, just like on and on, the light, this beautiful
Yeah.
chandelier. And, thank you for my ability to, calm my mind for, a minute, and the time that I have and the energy that I have and the two legs and the feet. So many, so there's just like so many ways. Practicing random acts of kindness, like actually expressing your gratitude to somebody else through doing something nice for them, writing them a note, buying them a tiny little gift, just calling them, saying, thank you. I mean, there's just so many different ways. You can meditate on gratitude. Just, like you could ask, like, how can I feel more grateful? You can literally just ask yourself, how can I feel more grateful today? And, by asking, you always answer the questions that you ask. So always be in the habit of asking good questions. If you ask for how can I feel more grateful, guess what? You're going to get the answer to that, which means you're going to be looking for reasons to feel grateful. And oh, I could just go on and on.
You said something there. You said make it a habit to look for the positive, and even in bad situations, we can find the good. And I remember my car broke down on the freeway as I was on my way to pick up my wife, and it was kind of late at night, so she would have been standing outside late at night at this building, and so there's a lot of reasons not to be grateful. But I remember I called the Uber driver. The Uber driver shows up and says to me as we're driving along, because I was still in a good mood. I was fine. It wasn't I was fine for about the first few minutes. I was stressed and everything, but after I got right through it, because and he said, "Yeah, I can't believe this. I've never seen anyone who's had their car break down the freeway be this calm." And all I could feel was this gratitude for the fact that I knew whatever was wrong, I could get it fixed, or I'd get another car. I had the money to do that. There were times in my life that was not a possibility. I'd be taking the bus from now, for a month or two while I saved up money for it. I was grateful that I could get on the phone and call an Uber driver. There was a time we couldn't do that.
Yeah.
So even in something that seems really awful. Oh, and then the other thing too was I started looking for. It's not just a benefit to me, but also grateful for the mechanic is now going to get some money,
Mm.
and maybe he takes his wife on a trip that week for a weekend, or able to pay for his kids' college, or whatever. So even if it's not good news for you to be grateful about, you can be grateful that somebody else got something kind of good happen to them. I mean, they're not especially excited when maybe he has to call me to quit smoking, right? For with hypnosis, but he can be grateful that he has that opportunity. So I think it's really important to look even those things that are not the things that seem great. We can still be grateful.
Yeah, absolutely. And it just, it actually just feels good. It just changes your whole, vibration. But no, I definitely want to reiterate that. I mean, just being grateful for, what other people get to do as a result of this situation, and, being able to, look at, well, because you're in the situation, whether you like it or not, you're in the
Right.
situation. And, it's just kind of like, well, you can change how you feel in this situation just based on um, changing and just having gratitude for the things that are helping you to navigate through it. And so it absolutely, is so important to remember that whenever you're in kind of a, crisis, or a negative event happens, or whatever it is, you can always find something about that situation. It might be hard. You might have to really look, but if you get into the habit of that, then you're not going to be so deeply impacted by those events. And it's always an opportunity to grow and to see the good.
Yeah. So it sounds like gratitude definitely has an impact um, on our mental attitude, of course, but also on manifesting. Do you think it can speed up the process for us if we want that beach house? If I'm just really grateful about everything, will I get that beach house a little sooner, maybe?
Well, absolutely. I'm gonna say absolutely. Because, we know that vibration impacts what we manifest and attract into our lives. And of course, gratitude is the highest vibration that you can be in. I mean, it's like love, bliss, gratitude, all of those. When you're feeling true gratitude, then it's at the same frequency as love. So it's the highest vibration that you can be in. So it stands to reason that the more gratitude you feel, the more quickly you're going to be a match you're for the things that you're wanting to draw in.
Yeah, nice.
And it just, it gratitude also just beyond the whole manifestation thing. Like, I mean, obviously, people are listening to this because they want to manifest things, but also, this is all about the power of the mind. And gratitude just it can just change your whole life. I mean, it can change your health, it can change your well-being, it reduces stress, Because if you're, always like feeling ungrateful, then that can have like an impact on your body. It literally can have an impact on your level of stress. And so, there's just been all kinds of studies done about uh, how gratitude increases your level of happiness. So it's not even just about like positive thinking, think positive, just so I can get stuff. It's about like a real change in your whole well-being. And it's absolutely going to speed up the manifesting process, but it's also going to speed up all the other good things that you want in your life too, that you don't even necessarily you know think about, just your how happy you are, how healthy you are, and all the good stuff. Only good stuff can come from from being grateful.
And one of the things too that I've noticed is that because there were for a long time I was not a high vibe person. I was looking for everything that was wrong in the world, and I really I just wasn't a great person. And I think I've grown, hopefully. And what I've noticed too is that um, I attract better people into my life. Like this podcast, for instance. If I was like I was before, you wouldn't want me on the podcast. People wouldn't want to listen to me for certainly, you know. But like my wife. I mean, she's an incredible, lovely, wonderful person, and she wouldn't want to be around somebody like I was, So, um, which I think really being around the right people is going to help you to get more of what you want out of life in many ways.
Absolutely. Yeah, because, the negativity begots more negativity. So if you hang around people that are negative, it can kind of, it can kind of it can kind of rub off on you. And the same thing if you hang around people that are more grateful and positive and happy, that's going to rub off on you too. And I think a big key too is immersion. Like if you're trying to get into a state of gratitude, then like watch a lot of videos about gratitude. Like
Mm.
hang out with people who are gratitude. Listen to podcasts like this when we talk about gratitude. Like I've actually noticed one of the reasons why we're talking about gratitude, and we're going to actually have a few more episodes about